Let's hear what Bud Crawford had to say when he was asked about his legacy and is his legacy where it wanted to be.
So I think the question that comes up with that fight not happening, right, is legacy. Legacy is always such a big word in boxing. What legacy do you think you've earned right now? And is it where you want it to be?
Of course. Of course. When you look at Terence Crawford legacy compared to Errol Spence's legacy, it's night and day. And I don't mean to throw shade on the brother. I'm just speaking facts. Whether they can say whatever they want, they can hate and say, oh, well, he fought this guy, he fought that guy. They can say whatever they want. But for Terence Crawford legacy, you're going to say he's a 3-weight world champion. He's an undisputed world champion. He's a fighter of the year. He's an ESPY award winner. He's a lineal champion in 2 different weight classes. You know, he's undefeated. And he never had a close fight ever in his boxing career.
So y'all just heard what Bud Crawford just said. He was asked about his own legacy. He was asked about if his legacy is where he wanted to be. Now, he did answer by saying, of course. But then he made a comparison between his legacy and Errol Spence's legacy. And he said Errol Spence's legacy compared to his, it's like night and day. And then he said, I don't mean to throw shade at the brother. Well, first of all, no one asked you about Errol Spence's legacy. No one asked you about a comparison between your legacy, Bud Crawford, and Errol Spence's. And then for Bud to say that he is not meaning to throw a shot at the brother, well, you are throwing a shot at the brother, Bud. And he's doing it in the presence of a woman. 97% of my demographic on my channel are men. So I can say this to a group of men. Men, have you ever been in a situation where you had somebody that you knew, whether it was a friend, a relative, just an acquaintance, or an associate, where you found out later on that this other man, once again, friend, family member, associate, acquaintance, or someone that you didn't know that well, but you knew of the person, a man. Have you ever been in an experience where that man was in the presence of a woman or a group of women, and they made you the topic of their discussion, where they threw you under the bus, where they try to make comparisons between you and them, where they're trying to shine on you in front of these women or this particular woman? Have you ever been in a situation? I know I have several times. And you know what I say to dudes that's like that? A bunch of clowns, a bunch of class clowns. And what I see here is Terence Bud Crawford is acting just like a guy who's trying to impress a woman by throwing another guy under the bus or comparing himself to another guy. Nobody asked Bud Crawford about Spence and comparing his legacy. Nobody asked him. What was the purpose of saying that? Once again, we see what the problem is. Problem number 2. Terence Bud Crawford, he mentioned all of his accomplishments, which are great. I think they are important for legacy. But it's one thing I want to challenge that Bud Crawford said at the end. He said that he never had a close fight in his career. Well, don't take my word for it. Let me show you Exhibit A. Yeah. This is a picture of the scorecards when Terence Bud Crawford fought Kell Brook before the TKO stoppage. And you can see that 2 out of the 3 judges' scorecards reflect the opposite of what Bud Crawford said. They actually reflect that this was a close fight, because you see that Bud Crawford, he was up by 1 point on both scorecards before the stoppage occurred. Okay, now let's take Exhibit B. His last fight that he had last year with Sean Porter. And let's look at the scorecards in that fight with Sean Porter. And here you go again. You see 2 out of the 3 judges' scorecards that reflect the opposite of what Bud Crawford said about him not being in close fights in his career. And there's 2 fights right here, Kell Brook and Sean Porter, where 2 out of the 3 judges on their scorecards reflect that this was a close fight. In fact, if you go back, some of you that did watch the fight or even the highlights of the fight on YouTube, you would see that the trainer, Bomac, he's the one that says something to Terence Bud Crawford, and I can't say his words verbatim, so I'm going to paraphrase it. And he basically told Bud, we are down on the scorecards. I think we're losing this fight. I'm going to need you to pick up your momentum, and we got to try to get this guy out of here, when they were referring to Sean Porter. And that's when in that round 10, I believe, he went out there and he knocked Sean Porter down. But once again, you can't say you wasn't in no close fights in your career when I just proved that you was in 2 of them. But you know what? That's not the end of it. We have more information. We have more information that we want to point out. Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for manager Marty. Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.